Hi guys, welcome back to Crafty Quilting Designs. I hope you're having a wonderful day and everything is going fantastic for you. Today we have a really exciting project on our hands today. So I know that Easter is on its way very shortly, and I thought this is the best time we can actually get a project done. So today we're going to make an Easter table runner. So come with me and let's get started. Okay, hi guys, so let's get into what we're going to do today. So we're going to talk about fat quarters to begin with, because that's what we're going to use to make our table runner. So I've got a few bits of fat quarters here, and I'll just hold them up to the camera so you can see them. I bought these on sale, and again you're probably saying, oh, she's shopping again. And again, it was late in the evening, and I bought these from Hobbycraft, and I thought they were absolutely beautiful when I saw them. So I've got a really nice beautiful range here, and I think they still have them in collection, so you can go have a look for yourself. There's another selection of the same sort of print here, and these are really nice. You have some purple and grey, black, blue, and also you get some chevron patterns here, which is absolutely lovely. It's quite a lot actually. I think you get about 5 per package. There is a solid color here and a beautiful pink there also. Look at that, absolutely lovely. And also I love this as well, sort of a flying geese pattern, absolutely beautiful. And this is a sort of a grey, dark grey color, and of course you get it in this one as well. Look at this one, isn't that beautiful? Absolutely lovely colors. So if you're wondering what a fat quarter is, well, a fat quarter is a selection of fabric that's cut via half a meter, and that half a meter then is cut again vertically, and therefore you get different fat quarters from the selection of the whole fabric range. So I have decided to choose some for my for my table runner, and I quite love this. Look at that, absolutely lovely in color. I love the sort of the shell formation on it. I think it's absolutely pretty. Also this one as well, look at that, absolutely lovely. Again, I just can't believe how pretty they are. Very good quality as well, and I love this. I absolutely fell in love with this. And I know, yeah, she's talking about she loves fabric, but what can I say? They're so pretty, you can't get over that. We're also going to use some 10-inch squares, and of course if you wanted to get a layer cake, plain layer cake, by all means you can go ahead and do so, and again have some stashed away for another use, or you can just cut from yardage. I'm just going to cut from yardage because I've got some already at hand. And again, try and get into the habit of using what you have in stock. You don't have to go ahead with the 10-inch white squares. You can use whatever color you want. We all know that Easter is very sort of pastel colors, so you can go ahead and get whatever you have in your stash and use that. We're also going to need some templates, and I have drawn some and then cut them out, and I've just used ordinary printing paper. So with this particular one, obviously it's the shape of an Easter egg. It's an oval shape, and I just used an oval kitchen utensil to cut it out. So again, that just saved me time having to look for that. I also drew out a tulip as well and cut that out. And what I also did, because I wanted to have an illusion of a cracked egg, I drew another template out and just cut it zigzag, so you get that sort of pre-illusion of that cracked egg, and I think that looks really good. So again, just ordinary photocopy paper. Another one I did was just some flowers, and again I just drew these out and just cut around them to create the shape. So again, you can go ahead and do that, or if you want to go and buy templates, by all means go right ahead and do it. I've also went to my craft store and I saw this, because I had at this time I hadn't drew out the Easter bunny and put it on there, and then I saw this foam piece and I thought, oh, that would be ideal, so I decided to keep that. And there was another one that I actually saw and I thought this was really nice. I actually thought about recreating the eyes, etc., but I haven't really decided on that at the moment. But yeah, that is just wondering what can I do with that. Another thing you're going to need is some fabric glue And this again is from my craft store, and I usually have a few of these stacked away. So obviously you can use whatever fabric glue you actually have in stock. You will also need some interfacing, and you can get this from Amazon or wherever you get your sewing supplies from. Now this is iron-on interfacing, okay, and the reason why I've chosen iron-on, because obviously we're doing an applique for our tabletop. We're using an applique method to put on our bunnies, etc., onto the 10-inch squares. Now what I was about to say is the reason why we do it. Now it helps to stabilize the stitches, because obviously if we're using a satin stitch or zigzag stitch, we want the fabric to be sort of structured and secure on there. And if the fabric itself that you're using for the applique is a little bit thin, that can cause some problems. So it really is just to give the needle and the machine to work in harmony, as well as to give you a stress-free process of actually making this. So these are the items we're actually going to use, and of course you would need your scissors. So what I would say is that's what we're going to get on with now. I am going to get ready, cut off my templates and put them onto my fabric. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be using each of them for. So for this one here, I'm going to use this because obviously it's there's flowers print on this. I'm actually going to use this for the tulip. All right, and this one here I'm going to use for my Easter bunny, and I think I'm going to go with this pattern for my Easter bunny, and I'm going to go with this one for the egg. I just love the fact how it looks. Sort of geometric shapes, and I think it will look really lovely with the crack egg images. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do four. We're going to do 4 appliques to go onto 10-inch squares. It's not going to be very big. Now the other thing you're going to need is some borders. Now I don't usually choose the borders, even if I'm making a quilt. I don't usually choose the borders until I have finished with the square, and then I'll sort of put them together and I will sort of introduce or match up or, you know, interview or audition the borders and how it actually looks, to give me some clarity on which color scheme I want to build, or choose a color that's actually within the project itself. So that's what I'm going to do. Now you're going to have you're going to have the 10-inch square with your applique, border, applique, 10-inch square, border. So you're going to have, I think, 3 borders in between, because you're going to have 4 squares, and then we're going to do around it. All right, now I'm not sure if I'm going to do a piece border at the moment, but I'm sure whatever I come up with, of course I will share it with you. So that's where we're at the moment. So we're going to do an applique table Easter runner. So that is our project for this week, and I'm really excited about it. I'm very visual in the sense that I picture everything in my head and how I lay it out. So that's how I build my projects and things that I'm going to make. So it has to be visually up there. It has to make sense for me before I can put it on paper. And once it makes sense there, then yeah, it's okay. I can work through it. So that's what we're going to do today. And let's get right into it and get started, because I'm so excited. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Now, there's a few things you need to be mindful of. Number one, when you go and you're ready to cut your shape out of your fabric, I would advise you to pin these down so that they're nice and secure on there and they don't move. It's very, very important that you do that, so they don't move. All right, so once you've done that, you're then going to cut this out, just to ensure that that shape stays on there nice and securely. Now, one thing I want you to be mindful of also is that if you wanted to embellish this any further, of course you can add any other things that you want on there to make sure that this looks exactly the way you want it. Remember, this is your particular project. It's so that, you know, you create it the way that you see fit. And what I'm doing here is just cutting a rough piece off from my fat quarter and then putting that to the side. So obviously you're not going to use a whole fat quarter to this. It depends. Again, if you wanted to make your table runner really large, measure your table so this you know how much squares you need to make to fill the whole length of that table. All right, I'm going to use my proper scissors because I just realized I was using my paper scissors, and what I've done is actually mark it out there with some masking tape so that I can be sure that that is the paper one, because everybody knows you use my scissors to do my fabric scissors for paper, and it makes me really grumpy. So now when you're cutting this, I would say cut it very near to the edge of the template that you're using. Remember, if you cut it bigger, then obviously you're making the egg bigger. This must fit into your 10-inch square. And again, you need at least a half an inch from the edge of that 10-inch square. Remember, you got to give allowances for your seam allowance once you're sewing it together. So be mindful of that also. Just remember that. So don't go too big. So I would say keep it very exact to the size of the actual template that you're cutting. Now, if you notice also, I have left a space in between here so I can go and do that zigzag quite easily. Don't put the whole thing together and then try to cut it. Yeah, you'll only give yourself a headache from doing it that way. This is a very quick project. It doesn't take long at all, and literally once you've done the applique process is then to stitch it onto your 10-inch squares. And as you can see right now, I am cutting mine a little bit bigger, but I will go back and trim that down just to be on the safe side. And I'm just cutting it out so I can have it at the perfect shape or size, so I can handle it a lot more easily. So don't rush it, take your time and get it all done properly. And I'm just using it's literally the end bit, so the tip really of my scissors, to get everything nice and neat. As I said, this is really a nice fun project. You can actually use a fabric from your stash already to do this, so you don't have to go shop and buy fat quarters. As long as you've got enough fabric for the size of your actual templates, then yeah, you know, that's it. That's all you need really. This will make a perfect gift for mom or friend, or just, you know, just for yourself. If you obviously want to give yourself a gift, which we tend not to do sometimes. We tend to forget that we too also need a little bit of pampering. So it's nice to give yourself a gift. It makes you feel happy. So take your time and cut all of this out. Now with and I'm just going to talk about the, what do you call it again? I've forgotten, my brain just went blank. We're going to talk about the interfacing. And so with the interfacing, I have a medium to lightweight one. Yeah, if you have a lightweight one, that's fine too. We don't need a heavy interfacing for this. So medium to lightweight is fine. You also need to iron this. As I said, it's an iron-on interfacing. And when you're doing this, you need to use a very hot iron and make sure that iron stays on the fabric with the interfacing and doesn't move at all. So it's not a moving, it's just a pressing on to use that interfacing to make sure it heats up, because you're releasing the glue once you actually heat it up. So once you press the iron on, it's actually heating up the glue, and therefore it sticks onto your fabric. And of course we're going to be doing this on the wrong side once we cut this out, so just be remembering that. Also, to identify the glue side, it usually looks quite shiny, so that's how you know it is the glue side. Be careful not to do that on your on the wrong side, because obviously then you will be putting glue on your iron, and yeah, you will have to be cleaning it off. So just be mindful of that. Just make sure that you're doing the right side when you put it on the cut fabric for your applique. So I'm almost done with this. I've been wanting to make an Easter project for ages now, and I thought, oh, probably I wouldn't have enough time to do it. So I'm so happy I remembered that I needed to do this and to get started quite easily, because I would love to ensure that you have it with you so that you can make your projects on time. I mean, that's the whole objective, isn't it? So we can do these projects and have them there to use. Now, this is completed. I'm just going to put that to the side. So remember, I pinned these on so that it's stabilized there and it doesn't move. All right. And then this one as well. So we don't need this anymore. What we do need now is our interfacing. And so remember what I said. So you've got to look and find the shiny side. And I can see this side that is facing me is the side that's really shiny and got the glue. And sometimes some of them have little bumps on it. You can actually feel it feels rough. So just make sure and pay a lot of attention to that. So I'm going to put the wrong side on top of the bumpy side, or the shiny side in this case, and put it down there. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to separate it because I don't need it to be together, because when I put this on my 10-inch square, I am going to shape it out the way I want. Now, as I said, remember I said if you wanted to embellish it, you can do so also. So if you wanted to add some flowers onto there, that's fine. Yeah. If you wanted to add some flowers, you can do that. So that's where we're going to go. But I'm not sure about the flowers, is it? But I'm just giving you ideas. So if you wanted to further embellish this, you're more than welcome to do so. Again, remember, these are all your creations. This is your creations coming together. This is just my idea, and what you want to put yours together is perfect for yours. Now I'm going to pin these on, only to start with, while I take it over to the iron to heat it up. Now, once I have put, now you need a little bit of a pressing cloth, and in case you're wondering what a pressing cloth is a piece of fabric that you don't use other than for assisting you for pressing. So for something like this, I wouldn't put the fabric directly on it. I will put a piece of pressing cloth over it and use that to help me, because remember, this side here also is exposed to the iron. Okay, if you've got a small quilting iron, then yeah, that might help you. But if you've got a big one, I would say put a pressing cloth over it, hold it down over where the egg actually is, where the applique actually is, and that way, when you remove it, it's adhered to. So remember, don't do this with your iron only, because this part here is going to stick to your iron. So I would say get all of your appliques ready, all of your shapes ready, so that way you can get everything done in one go. So just do everything together, cut all the shapes out, cut out your interfacing, take everything to the ironing board, so that way you work collectively and your job gets done a lot more quickly. So we're going to do that now, and then we'll get back and do the next level of what we need to do. All right, so let's continue with this now. So what we're going to do is do the ironing, and so obviously you can see that I have now my interfacing on the back and it's pinned down. So remember, I pinned it and I cut it around it. I did that with the paper, and I obviously did the same with the interfacing. So that is now done. I've done it on all of my pieces. I've also done a little bit of fussy cutting as well from this particular pattern. And so what I did was cut a little bit of the flowers out and I stuck them on. Well, I haven't stuck them on, I've pinned them on temporarily there, but it's just in the position, so I haven't used any glue at the moment to put it in position. So that's where I'm planning on putting them. Okay, so that's that. I've also done a little bit of fussy cutting for the whole egg also, and I cut a more larger shape out of the flower from this particular fabric. So I'm just trying to get everything blend. This particular end that's sticking off there, I am going to cut that, so don't worry about that. And of course my bunny is here. All right, so I'm going to start with the tulip first, and just going to put I've got a little bit of pressing cloth here for small pieces, so I'm going to put it on top, and I'm just going to do it in pieces at the moment, or in sections. So I'm going to start there. I'm not going over the pin because I know that pin's there, and I don't want to distort my iron or the fabric anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to move it around. Once I know that bit is adhered to, I'm just going to remove the pin now because I know it wouldn't move, and I'm now going to just put it all over it. Alright, so I'm just going to do a little bit there just to get those bits down. When I know it's stuck down, get the pin out and go over it. Now, so this is another way of doing it, because remember I said that you can just simply put the interfacing at the back and leave the edges out, but I decided was to trim it down so it's a little bit easier to do. I'm just holding it down so it stays and it don't take long. Alright, so that's one bit done. I'm going to do this one now. So again, I'm going to start at an area where I know there are no pins. Just hold it down, no steam, and when I feel that it's adhered to the fabric, then I will take it off because I don't want it to shift. Alright, so that looks pretty good, so I'm going to remove the pins now. I'm going to leave that one there just for a bit and do the whole bottom, the body in this case. Put that there. And just hold it down there. This works pretty good actually, there's no problems with this interfacing. So that, remember, the interfacing allows it to give some structure to the fabric when you're actually doing your satin stitch. So that's the stitch we're going to stitch it onto our white 10-inch squares. So just hold it down until you can probably count about 10 seconds and then remove it. That one is completed. So with this one now, my cracked egg, I'm doing the same thing again. So do that for all of yours. I'm not going to bother remove that because I know it's not stuck there. So once I take the pin out, it's going to be there. It's going to turn it round and just hold it down. Remember, just don't go over your pins, most important thing, because if you move it over the pins, it's going to distort it. Right, last one. Now, I had some ideas with these little ones here. These were I was going to do this as the eggs cracked, and obviously have a little bit of some sauce of some kind dripping down, but I haven't decided on that as yet. So I was just playing around with some ideas in my head, and of course you can do this with yours also. That's the whole idea of making something and designing something for yourself. You know, you can design it however you feel fit to do so. So I'm just pressing it down, making sure it's adhered to properly. There are no pins on this one, so it seems to have stuck it all on its own. Right, so that's that one. Right, so the next thing to do now is to do our satin stitch around. So the idea, get my white square. So the idea is to have your square, take your applique, and you can see the importance of having that room around the edges. Now, if you wanted to fussy cut and do some other things, so for example, you could fussy cut some flowers and put it at the bottom there. Okay, you can turn it at an angle so that you can see that it's actually moving, but again, remain in that square. But I'm just going to keep mine probably tilted slightly. Now, you can also put a button for the eye, but then we will do that later, and put some pom-pom, a small pom-pom at the back there for a bushy tail. But again, I will show you all of these once I'm started to stitch them together. But now what we're going to do is to pin this down once you have it in the position that you're happy with. And we're then going to do some satin stitches all the way around the edges. All the way around the whole entire, and I will say choose a color that blends in. So I'm going to go with either the blue or the green. Okay, so I'm going to get this all ready, and then I'll come back and show you what all of the squares looks like, and then how we actually going to build it together to form the table runner. Okay, so what I wanted to jump in and show you was upon just getting my cracked egg onto my 10-inch square, it wouldn't fit. So just so that you don't make this error, I thought let me show you how to correct it. All right, because obviously the whole egg will fit, but if we're going to make as you can see, the whole egg fits perfectly. However, because we're cracking it, because the egg is cracked, and I want to give an impression of a cracked egg, so we have to trim it down. All right, as you can see, if I were to turn it the way that I want, it wouldn't work. It's hanging off the edge here. So the easiest way to solve this problem is to fold it in half. I'm just going to get rid of my square at the moment. Fold it in half, and we're just going to trim it down basically. That's it. You're going to just follow that curve and trim it down. Now how much you trim down is entirely down to you. So I'm just going to go in small increments so that I can measure as I go. Right, so I'll probably say about 1/2 inch I've taken out there around it. So let's have a look. Now if you think that it has a little bit of a peak, fold it again and round it off. Just a little snippet there. Perfect. So let's check this out now. Lovely. So look at that. There's enough room. And let's do this one. I'm just going to remove my pin there. Now if you wanted to use instead of using pins, you can glue it down on your white fabric. So that way, which I will show you, because I prefer actually gluing it down before I start sewing. I just find that it sticks on there a lot more easily. And I'm just shaping this. You may think I'm taking a lot off, but I'm doing it in small slices or small cuts, I should say, slices. Where am I? Cookie lesson? Anyway, so just shave those off. And open that back up. Lovely. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so that's my cracked egg on there. Fitted. Now what I am going to do is to glue down my little flowers here that I've fussy cut, and I'm only going to put just a little dab on there, that's it, literally, and put it back in position. Now what I love about this fabric glue, again, and I got it from my craft store, is that it dries when you put the heat on it. I just love it for that reason. I'm going to do this one up there, and again you can add any further embellishment that you see fit. So I'm just literally just doing a smidget, literally. There's no need to do any more than that, because remember we are going to stitch this down around it. And I'm also going to do the same for my applique. So once I found my position, going to put a smidget on there, put it down, you just need a tiny bit in the areas you know especially that could possibly move. Once once you start to iron this. So just a smidget is what you need. Just making sure that you have that cracked egg shape going on there. Lovely. Right, so all I'm going to do now is add a little bit of iron on it so that it stays down, and it does hold it down very easily. I'm just going to put a little bit more in this area here. I'm going to put one in this area here. Oh, I just dropped a bit there. And just hold it down. And it adheres to it quite easily. Right, so in reference to my little egg yolk being cracked there, so I'm just going to trail it down this way and that way. I'm going to put a little bit of the glue on there as well, so that stays. I'm just going to rub them together because I need such a little bit on there. It's not a great deal at all. Just going to let it join on and a touch more. Hopefully you can share my vision. I'm just going to put my pressing cloth over this one because it is small pieces, just to protect it so that the iron does not move it. Excellent. So do that with all of your squares. And I'll just hold it up so that you can see. It's all adhered to it there nicely. All right. So again, now remember I said you can pin it down, but I remembered that, you know, I prefer the glue because when you pin it down, you do get that wonky shape there from the pin. So I think it's advisable to use the glue because then the glue goes on bang on, it's nice and flat. So move on with all of your squares. So I'm going to continue with my tulips, my other egg, and my bunny. And I may fussy cut some little flowers, some daisies, and put it at the bed here. So like, for example, to give the idea or the illusion of the bunny is sort of treading on the flowers, or okay. So that's where we're at, and we'll get started in that. The next I will show you is how we do the stitch on there. So I would start an example showing how to do that stitch, and then we will move on from there. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me on this tutorial. Now this comes to the end of part 1. Now I would look forward to seeing you for part 2, where we will be completing those appliques onto the 10-inch squares, as well as stitching them all together using sashing and adding some cornerstones, as well as completing the border, and then obviously quilting it. Now if you're enjoying this tutorial, the best way to support our channel is to like, subscribe, share, and please hit that bell. Without that bell, you don't know it's uploaded, and it's so important to know that. I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, have a great day, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.